Computer. Hello and welcome to the second session of The Veil Iterations. The Veil is a PbtA cyberpunk game written by Fraser Simons, which is one of my favorite PbtA games, if not one of my favorite RPGs. There's so much I love about it, and I've run it a ton. And I've run it enough that I've recognized the points of like friction where what it does and what I do as a GM don't quite kind of sync up. So what I've done is do some rewrites on mechanics and playbooks and things like that to kind of more make it like what I do, and still keep the spirit of what makes the Veil great. So this quarterly is a kind of play test of those changes and trying them out to see what they're like. I will try to put a link to some documents in the video. So if you want to check out what we've done, so you can see what we're playing with, you can take a look at that. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this session is part of the Gauntlet Gaming Calendar, which is an online gaming club. And you can find out more about the Gauntlet at gauntlet-rpg.com. We've got a podcast network, including a couple of podcasts that have been Emmy nominated, and one that's won an Emmy, and one that is nominated this year, plus one forward, the PbtA podcast, which I've never been on, and apparently never going to be on, but there we are. But Fraser has been on, so if you want to watch the episode about the Veil, you can check that out. So that's very exciting to us. But we've also got a lot of other things, a blog. You can find a lot of things there that are really interesting. Plus, we update all the videos that we do every week. There's a weekly roundup on the blog about the videos that we posted. I would say that we have the largest single repository of AP videos for ttrpgs on the web. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. That's my new catchphrase. So that's the one I'm going with. As with all the games that are on the Gauntlet calendar, and we've played within the Gauntlet, we use a layered set of safety tools. We are using the X card. You may hear us refer to that. We do have an open door policy if anyone has to leave for whatever reason. And then we are using lines and veils to mark out material that we don't want to have, things that we want to fade to black on, and anything that we want to have ask first with. So the lines that we have that are hard lines on the game are dental horror, homophobia, sexual assault, torture by the PCs, transphobia, or fat phobia. Those are all things that are off the table. Veils on harm to animals, that'll happen if it happens off screen, or be referred to but never not seen on screen, and suicide. Those two things. And then we've got an ask first, meaning that if we want to bring this into play, we want to check in before we do that. And that is epidemics, mind control, and any kind of sexual content. So that's all in there. We've also got a palette, which we talked about last time. Some things we'd like to see, some things we'd not like to not see. And Rory, I'll give you a chance at some point if there's anything you want to add into the palette particularly. We could talk about that at the break and such. But we are going to have the players reintroduce themselves, give us the elevator pitch in their character, and then we're going to bring Null into the equation, no pun intended. So I'm going to go to the character tab. First chair goes to Patrick. Patrick, would you please give us the elevator pitch on Riddle Blue?
Hi, I'm Patrick, he, him pronouns, and I'm playing Riddle Blue, the architect, also he, him pronouns. And Riddle is, if you ever saw him with the veil stripped away in actual reality, what he actually looks like in the physical gross meat space, he is completely enclosed in this immersion suit. That keeps him in the full illusion of the digital scape all the time. And so his face and body are completely hidden head to toe. But anywhere that the veil or the mixed reality is active, he has this like glowing blue sort of 80s inspired power jacket suit and this like purple explosion crown of a head. I wrote it down as like neon gif wear is his clothing style. But as the architect, he has a weird cyber brain, a connection to a highly advanced piece of cyberware that lets him just play around with the physical and visual constraints and constructions of the veil itself. But part of that is that having the veil and his ability to manipulate it so tied in with the neural structures of his brains means that sometimes his own subconscious leaks out into the world. His three main forms of subconscious are the terrible purple monster with too many eyes and teeth that looks nothing like him. Why would you say that? The completely unrecognizable face of his true form that even he hasn't seen in a non-digital mirror in years. And then the face of his jilted lover, who we haven't dived into that, but I gave him a name. It's something great and cyberpunky. Ares template, that's it. Someone tough and unnecessarily tattooed. So my main moves right now are that I can, like I said, adjust the veil, the digital reality around me by trading things out. And I can also take physical things and hide them in the veil and then retrieve them later and in different places without any good explanation of how or why. Because I wanted to play with the weird mindfuck of the veil and whether it's real or not.
Very nice. Very nice. Next, Bethany, would you give us the lowdown on your character?
Yeah. So I'm playing Marley Hollow, who is the Wayward Playbook, who is somebody who grew up in a kind of isolated, sort of cult, sort of hippie commune. We're not really sure, in the middle of a swamp that like should not still have anything living in it, but does. And at some point was forced to leave, either maybe in the sense of kicked out, maybe in the sense of I can't deal with these people anymore. Not sure which. But came to the city along with their brother, who has since kind of made it big as some sort of entertainer. I don't know who is telling us about what entertainment is like in this city, but he's somebody that people would know his name, I think. He does not want anything to do with Marley anymore, or at least like not publicly seen anywhere near Marley. Also they have the ability to decay things, particularly corroding metal, very fast, and are absolutely not above sabotaging things. You know, they probably wouldn't destroy a building with people in it, but an empty building is fair game.
I like the probably qualifying that.
Probably.
I think that was a good note. Next is Heller Tin.
Yeah, hi, my name is Sherry Stewart. I go by she, her pronouns. I'm playing Heller Tin, who goes by he, they pronouns. Heller is a catabolist. Essentially, it means someone who does their own modifications to themselves because their needs are particularly special. Essentially for Heller, he had a wasting disease. He was in a drug trial, and due to the weird legalities of drug trials in this thing, they had hit the total number of patients that were in the trial that could die before they would have to take the trial off. So when he was hurt in an accident, they went to extreme measures to keep him alive. And had he had to pay for it, it would have been millions of dollars or millions of credits, well beyond his thing. So of course he wouldn't have gotten it, but they had to keep the drug trial going. So, and it's still going. There's another 2, maybe 3 years, though the costs are racking up and they don't know when it's going to close down. So he's got a timeline that he's not entirely sure when things will end, but most of their torso has been replaced by cybernetics. One of their arms has been replaced by cybernetics, and a few other pieces that since then Heller has had to learn to do himself, because everything about his changes plus the condition that he has means that it's all very custom and just barely works. And so he has had to learn a lot, and most of it he has learned from the med AI that was the one that kept him alive to start with, whose name is, and is one of his relationships, is called Revision Law 8. And they are also in a state of needing to rush to solve and figure out what's going to happen to them before the end of the drug trial, because they will be obsolesced at that point. And they have spent enough time with Heller and vice versa that Heller has, how should we say, brought to them lots of things that give them some idea that there's a life for for AIs outside, though neither of them are completely certain what all of it means. So, but right now, what he can do is he's very good at going around through the city and finding or how do you say, acquiring bits and pieces that he can refurbish or change or alter or add to some existing piece that he has that will help him build more gear. And that is his talent. And he needs a lot of money all the time. That is his thing. I'm not sure if there's anything else, but that's, I think, enough to start with.
That sounds great. I see that you put the picture of your AI in a thing. Marley, you'll have to find a picture of Zephyr, your brother, and put that in there. Let's come carriage return back to Gabriel Thrawn and have you tell us about your character.
Hi there, I'm Tyler. He, him pronouns, and I am playing Gabriel Thrawn, he, him pronouns. And unlike the misfit toys, no, unique individuals that make up the rest of the party, I am just a normal person, a normal, very wealthy person, which means I'm not normal at all. I am handsome. I smell fantastic. I dress wonderfully in that way that only money lets you do. I know how to use it. I know how it can be abused. And I have a means of just collecting money, favors, that sort of thing. I'm part of the Dionysus Guild. We are the guild that looks over entertainment production, one of the guilds, but we are involved in music and vids, movies, games, all sorts of magnificent things. And I personally find talent. That is a skill I have taken. My family has always done it. Speaking of my family, the tragic and not at all derivative problem I have with my family is my father was killed, and I happened to see that, though no one knows I saw it. Well, a few know that I saw it, but they don't. The man who killed my father does not know. And then he wormed his way into my mother's heart, marrying her and having taken control of our little bit of business in the guild. I have taken it to be an independent man, and now I work very hard to move up in the guild so I can take vengeance.
Excellent. And I'd forgotten you did the entertainment, and then we've got Zephyr Marley's brother. Interesting. Okay. So Ray, I'm going to have you introduce your character. Tell us what they're like. Walk through that. And I'm going to ask some questions of you, and then we'll after that we'll go to the obligation question. So tell us who you are.
Yeah, so I'm playing the changing playbook. Null uses he, they, and it pronouns. And so Null is, so I conveniently chose, because I get to have 2 gifts and 1 curse. And the curse I chose is my memories are beginning to be replaced or erased. So that gives us some wiggle room in the character, conveniently. But from what Null can remember, Null used to work for a corporation that was working on some top secret stuff within the Veil. And Null was caught up in an accident that wasn't supposed to happen, revealing the inherent dangers of the Veil, and the Corp had to shut that down, right? And so there are a lot of people like Null who are suffering from the aftershocks or something close to a curse that's happening for some people who enter the Veil, but the actual details are still a mystery, and Null is trying to find out what's really going on and how they can protect and help people. So the 2 gifts that Null has is, I mean, I had to choose the one where I don't die immediately,
Yeah.
right? Because like it's just so cyberpunk. So every time I die, I roll to see what happens instead. But basically, my organic tissue regrows at a rapid rate. I cannot succumb to death until I fully transform. The thing about Null is that Null doesn't completely exist in the physical space anymore. There is like an idea of what Null should be, right? And that's what the wrappings are for and the armor is for, to like suggest that Null still exists, but Null only fully exists within the Veil now. And so it's very hard to it's very hard to kill Null, basically, in that sense. And the second thing is, I am capable of unnatural movement. I wanted to work this out with you, Lowell. I was thinking I could move through the bits and pieces that people leave behind of themselves in the Veil, right? And so sort of like a dreamscape situation where like Null can move from one to another. And if Null is trying to move to a particular place, they have to try to map it out between these like subconscious things that are left behind in the Veil.
I like that. I like that. So like if you know somebody, probably we don't need a roll, but if you're trying to do something more dream jumpy, I like it. Okay. Via LinkedIn profiles.
Patrick just heard me in the chat already. We just terrible. There's like a particular like abandoned software that tried to be LinkedIn that Null likes to use a lot. So, but yeah. And aside from that, yeah, I think that's basically the gist of Null at the moment, right? Null is basically trying to protect people, try to figure out what's going on with their past, trying to piece everything back together.
And what are the 2 moves that you start with?
Ooh, so I start with, let's see, is it, am I right? Transformation, and wait, I'm gonna open up. No. I start with trigger and reach out. So basically at the start of each session, I roll transform to see how far along I come in the changing and generating chrysalis that way. And then the second one is reach out, where I get to ask questions about my transformation by spending chrysalis. So yeah.
How long does Null think that they've been transformed?
Ooh. I think Null thinks it's only been a short time, but I think the tragedy is that it was a long time ago.
Okay.
So I think to Null's mind, it's only been like a few months, but it's actually been a few years already at this point.
And what does what is null like? Do they have to eat? Do they have to drink? Do they have those kinds of physical needs? Is it a habitual thing for that keeps them doing that? What do you think?
I think they get phantom hunger and phantom thirst, right? They think that they should be those things, but they're not actually true. So they go to the veil to like act out, right? And
Mhm.
eat and drink and do those things, but it's not something that Null actually needs to do anymore.
And what does null do? Like, what is their gig?
Ooh, I think their gig is I can't help but pull in a little bit from another game. I think they're an assistant to a private detective,
Okay.
right? A masterful private detective that is well known in this space.
Okay.
And Null just shows up once in a while to like help him out. It's a silent but helpful assistant, basically.
You're the recurring character that shows up every once in a while when they need to get the street level things for that.
Basically.
And well, you start with the nerve crippler, the basic equipment. You will get 3 pieces of cybernetics, and you'll get to choose those. You can look on the cybernetics tab. You don't have to choose those now. You can choose those as we go along. Basically, any piece of cybernetics can have like at the start up to 3 tags. If it has 3 tags, then it needs to have a negative tag with it. And you are assumed to have a neural chip as well. Let's take a look at your obligation questions.
Yeah. Okay. So I have, let's see. Ooh. If I have exposed myself to future danger by using my gifts to save someone else, I have 1 obligation on them. I kind of feel like, because like Hellerton is always looking for stuff, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I can't help but think like maybe there was a situation where you got the wrong bit of scrap, like something a little too maybe right now it doesn't look useful, but to someone else.
Okay. Yeah, so like something that like could cause phasing similar to what you've done or something.
Ooh, that's cool.
Okay. So I have an obligation to you. I can do this.
Yeah. I think I want someone to know something important about what happened to me. So if someone knows something important about your sickness, you do not, and is withholding that information from you, they have 1 obligation from you. I could see it being any of the other characters, honestly. But if someone wants to jump in particular.
I could see a connection where you were talking about how you only like fully exist in the veil of the digital world. I can see like having picked up something about your code or your progression that you haven't realized yet.
Ooh, I like that. That's very cool.
What's the obligation on that?
So that means you have 1 obligation on me.
All right.
Cool.
And your last one?
And my last one is I've confided my outlook on life and what I intend to do since I began to change to 1 person only. So there's only 1 person I trust. I'm like wondering, should I make the terrible mistake of trusting the executive or the or make the better choice of trusting the wayward?
I don't know. The wayward is all about decay, so I don't know.
Oh, that's also true.
I don't think there's any wisdom to be had in either of them.
That's
But all kinds of terrible problems.
That's also true. Um, I think I would have confided in the executive. I think there's something about Gabriel that reminds me of someone I've forgotten, who is better left forgotten. But-
Alrighty. And I'm a very nice person. Don't
Good.
you worry one bit. Is that owed to me or owed to you?
yeah, so I have one obligation on you.
One on me.
Yeah.
Everybody has some obligations on me.
The
Excellent.
only reason we hang around is because someday we're going to get ours back.
Gonna get paid off. That's
Yeah.
right.
We're all waiting for the paycheck.
So let me talk about how we're handling what in Original Veil is beliefs, motivations, questions, all of those things. We're handling it somewhat differently, but we're borrowing a little bit from inheritance. And there's some of this talked about in Cascade. So you're going to have 3 items that you're going to have as kind of background details. The first of these is you're going to develop an entanglement. You've seen this in Hearts of Wulin. Entanglement is your relationship to one person that is complicated by your relationship to a second person. Those can both be NPCs. It's allowing you to establish sort of future characters that you might use the link move to bring onto stage. There's a move when you introduce an NPC to roll and see about their status in terms of obligations. Or if you want to have a PC in one of those slots, you can do that. These can be romantic. These can be general. These can be people that get in the way of your friendship, or you're pulled between 2 people, or those kinds of things. Any of that is reasonable. The entanglement, basically, at the end of the session, the question we're going to ask is, did you encounter or reference that entanglement? Did you see one of those people? Did knowing about one of those people affect your decisions? Did it touch on your play in some way during the game? If so, you're going to get an experience point. So that's the first thing. Second thing is your drive. This is the concrete thing that you want. You want to get something. You want to destroy something. You want to find something. You want to do something. It's a concrete thing that is a goal for yourself. And it may turn out that this drive, this motivation is a vain pursuit, but it's what you're going for. And what we're going to do is at the end of the session, we're going to check in and see if you think you've done anything to progress or regress from your drive. So essentially, have you like referenced that during play to kind of drive your decisions in one way or another? If you have, you're going to get an experience point. I'm saying things very strange. I'm just going to say XP from now on. The last thing is your question. And your question is more abstract, where your drive is something very concrete that you want to accomplish. Your question is some abstract question you have about yourself, about your place in the world, about what you're doing, about where you want to be. Who am I? Is it right for me to be part of the corp? Like, how can I become more like this or more like that? These are your big questions for yourself. Whereas somebody you might talk to about your drive, your question is probably a little more internal. It's probably a little more hidden. It's maybe not something you make explicit except maybe in moments of deep intimacy. And at the end of the session, if you've done anything that maybe provides an answer or tells you something about maybe your question being wrong or any kind of thing that makes a step towards illuminating that question for yourself, you're going to mark an XP. And this is like the big question from Veil Inheritance. This is sort of the global question. So these are going to be the three things. We're going to try this out as our XP system, as our sort of background motivation system, and we're going to see how it works. Are there any questions about that? No. I will be putting together examples, but you should feel free to think about those. And we'll check in at the end of the session. And you may come up with your question or your drive, if you don't know it now, based on how play goes. So keep that in mind. We'll check in again at the end. All right, I'm going to take another slug of water. So our setup is this. Last time, Gabriel Thrawn was contacted by a person in an upper tier of his guild, and they informed him that one of the areas which had been flooded in industrial rezoning in the city had, during some new construction and rezoning, been drained. And it may not be drained for long, but it's one of the things in certain sections of the city, they are trying to control the waters that are outside, control the swamps that are pressing at the margins. This particular area was a kind of industrial research zone, and there is a medical research experimentation facility kind of off the books that was created by, I believe, the Cosmos Brotherhood is the name of the guild involved with that. And it was abandoned. It was flooded out. This happened very suddenly, and the place was emptied. Gabriel has been tasked with taking some people in to retrieve what he can from that before the place is reflooded. It may well be that the Cosmos Brotherhood may be aware of this situation and may have people there, but there may be others. Particularly, I think I mentioned the Apollonian Corporation. There, that guild may be a particular threat. And so Gabriel gathered together Riddle, Marley, and Heller and gave them some money, which was most of what it took to get them on board, with an agreement to go in. And as a matter of course, we established that everyone has obtained basic rebreathers. If you need to go and submerge in water or muck or whatnot, you have that available to you. You were also given a couple of cred in case you wanted to outfit yourselves with anything. And we'll let this go without necessarily an Emporium roll. We'll just kind of do this as a tool up moment. And I want to go around and see if there's anything that you think your character would want to buy. We'll figure out what that might look like in terms of cost. Riddle, besides this rebreather that you've been given, that you have to attach to your suit, what else might you want to get that might cost some credit, or you want to husband your money?
This was like a biolab type situation that we're going in to explore.
Medical, yes.
I want to get a couple of like quick seal hermetic pods sort of thing that we could like capture a thing or a sample in, like beach ball size at max.
Okay, yeah. I think spend a cred and you can get a pretty decent supply of those kinds of things that can be easily inflated and filled. that are made to capture biological samples. Marley, is there anything you wanted to get?
Nothing is jumping out at me. I'm sure something will occur to me when we're there, and I desperately need
Absolutely.
something, but I don't know what it is.
Absolutely. I think that is fair. Heller,
So I think what I would like is a sort of, what do you say? Akin to scuba gear, but actually an extension of my own sensory stuff with it. Like I can feel through it and all of those things. It's like a puzzle I've been working on anyway. And I know that there's stuff with like, what is it, haptic technology in it, so that like it would have a better sense of it. But mostly I want waterproofing because I've got all my gear. But I also want to, like, I'll have my hands covered, but I still want to be able to have the basic fine sensory thing for my hands and everything, so that I can do good work.
interesting.
Also, because eventually I may have to use it as scrap and turn it into.
So is this something you're building cybernetics, this kind of sealed system waterproofing thing?
I could try it. I have some scrap and I have creds to buy just the basic thing with it's, essentially commercial versions of those things, but I would have to, fix it up so it would work for me.
Well, why don't we hold off on that? Let's say you can spend a couple cred to get yourself a essentially a protective suit. It's probably not durable over the long haul, but for a job like this, it'll last. And it's made to allow you to do fine manipulation and work within it. Does that seem fair? Okay. Gabriel, what about yourself?
I have a couple of things I'd like to pick up. One, I want a set of skin suit armor. So I want to pick up some armor.
Want to pick up some armor?
Yes.
Okay. So armor is a basic piece of gear.
Okay. That
So
give me armor 1.
So armor 1, it's let's see, check basic weapons. Basically, armor 1 is going to cost you a cred. You could get armor 2 for 2 cred.
Okay.
Now that armor is obvious. If somebody sees you, they're going to see that you have armor.
If I got the 2,
if you got the 1,
even the 1.
Oh, but if you want to pay 2 cred, you could get armor 1 and get it hidden, so it'd be subtle.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna get.
Okay. Now you could get armor 2 and subtle. That'd be 3 cred, and you'd have to take a negative tag on it.
Yeah, I'll take the 1 armor skin suit so I can wear it under my suit.
Okay.
My adventure suit. It's
your adventure suit.
And the second thing I want to get, I want to spend 2 cred to have someone ready as an extraction. I want somebody in that general area in like a hover car or a hover van. So if we need a quick extraction, they're waiting and able to come in.
I think that's fair. I think you have time and resources to make that call, and we'll say that you can have that person in place.
Cool. Thank you very much. And that means I have no monies.
Look at that. But you still got capital. And you can always spend capital to convert that to credit. So no.
Yeah, I was thinking something like a stealth suit, which basically means it'll just let my outer stuff disappear, like the Invisible Man situation. So I'm
Mhm.
allowed to be invisible, but then technically keep the armor on. Like it's a thing that interacts with my curse in a weird way.
So you would like essentially a piece of clothing that gives you the camouflage tag kind of thing?
Mm, mm-hmm,
Is
mm-hmm,
that what you want? Okay. Do you
mm-hmm.
want it armored?
Ooh, yeah, that would be
So
good.
two credits
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
for an armored camo suit.
mm-hmm,
When the camo suit is not on, it's obviously wearing armor and kind of
mm-hmm,
a weird thing.
mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, so, and with any kind of gear like that, it has to be turned on. It's probably one of those things that have to turn on and then recharge from scene to scene kind of thing. Sound good?
Makes sense, makes sense. Mhm.
Okay. Tell me, Null, how did you come to hear about this medical facility? It's certainly in your wheelhouse for the kind of thing that you're interested in. How did you come to hear about that?
Yeah, I've heard there are a lot of stories of people seeking like illegal, perhaps, uh what's the word I'm looking for? But operations and like it's known on the street that if you're looking for something and the corp can't give it to you, you're supposed to be able to find something like that here, but you never hear back from those people afterwards.
Yeah,
Right.
you've heard that there's some people who've actually done dives down into these flooded out areas, and it's apparently really dangerous. So having a chance to go in when it's drained like this is interesting. What do you think that this is the place that you were treated, or do you think it has information about what happened to you? Like, what's your
Ooh.
motive for going in?
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to trace. I've been like following this like uh this expert, this I think the scientist slash architect who
Okay.
was working on the project with me. And so the next big lead I have is leads me to here. So I'm hoping I can find evidence of where she's been or what she's up to.
Now, in classic fashion, in any kind of anime or something like that, there's a symbol or a memory flash or a flicker or a glitch or something.
Ooh.
What is that? When we see you thinking about that, or you might find a sign, what would we see?
Ooh. I think it's definitely like a lily covered in blood,
Hmm.
like, and it's been turned into like some sort of like graffiti symbol that I've seen in some places in the city. But I have this very strong flash of a memory of her handing me this lily and then suddenly it's covered in blood.
Very nice.
Very cyberpunk.
I like it. Let's do a quick once round to see if there's any legwork folks want to do before you go in. Investigations, talking to people, any of that kind of thing. We'll just do a quick one of those. Riddle, is there anything you want to do?
Um, yeah, I wanna see if I know any contacts that can give me any more information about that lab or the kind of things they were working on.
Does that feel like lift the veil as you are hitting up your contacts?
Yeah.
Okay. Then why don't you go ahead and roll? What do you want to roll that with? What is your mood in doing this?
So this Thrawn pulling this together, and he's usually got obnoxious but cushy, well-paying jobs. So I think I'm sort of peaceful. Like
Okay.
this is obviously not going to be a big problem. I just don't want to go into it blind and look like an idiot. No, do a thing. Well, that's a 5.
All right. I think that there is when you're kind of pulling the stuff up, pulling the things around, like trying to get it, you can see where someone has cleared house. Like you talk to your contacts and things like that, and they direct you to various databases and things like that. And somebody has, within the last week or so, done a pretty good job of erasure. And do you think you're the kind of person who pushes on and maybe alerts them, or do you kind of leave that alone?
No, the information is telling me the wrong thing, and I want to force it into a shape that will tell me the right thing.
And I think that you will go in and realize that it's the kind of thing you hate, because it's clearly a corporate job. And rather than doing this with any kind of creativity, they have just bulk erased the shit. They have eliminated it, rather than modifying or concealing or anything like that. And I think that that you've been pinged when you do that.
Just sitting there looking around like, why don't we just start waving magnets over things again? What sort of barbarians are... What was that?
Yeah, that sort of echo in the waters there, like a sonar ping, before you pull yourself out of that particular piece of the Veil VR data. Marley, what would you do legwork wise?
Okay. Think like, I mean, I think I'd probably just go there ahead of everyone else and scout the area.
Yeah. Let's have you roll assess for us.
Okay.
Is it analyze? Have I said it? Analyze, right? Assess. I have assess.
Assess.
I probably have it written in a couple of different ways, different places, but that's what we're saying right now.
Okay.
What do you want to roll that with?
That is a good question. Look at these. What do I want to roll with? I don't think I'm particularly, like, I'm being cautious, but like, I think I'm being cautious in like a confident, like, I'm going to get there and make sure none of these idiots gets hurt way.
Okay.
So I think I'm powerful.
Okay. All right, let's have you roll that.
Which gives me a 0. So, 8.
An 8. Oh, by the way, Riddle, the good news is you get to mark XP when you rolled that miss.
Yay!
There you go. So on assess, you have one hold. You can ask a question. You can establish a detail. What would you like to know or establish?
There's another building outside of the, like, it's probably multiple buildings,
Yeah.
that is connected to it, or was connected to it underground. It may or may not be accessible now because it's probably still flooded.
Yeah, I think you can see that. You can see where it is at, and kind of scouting around it. You see that like no one has mucked around it. It's not been broken into, it's not been cased or anything like that. So it feels like a reasonably safe, if challenging, entry point for you.
I mean, we all
Heller?
have these
Oh, yeah.
rebreathers, and I'm sure there's
Yeah.
nothing terrifying in the water.
I'm sure everyone is excited about the chance to swim through the muck. Heller.
Yeah, so I think that in some ways, Heller has a connection to a certain kind of information, and that is what kind of injuries are happening to people in that vicinity, like people who are going for treatment or getting picked up right there and that sort of thing, like those tags. Essentially, I will just ask Revision to do a sort of localized inquiry of types of injuries and things that are being seen, so I know what some of the threats are.
Let's have you roll Lift the Veil. What do you want to roll that with?
I would probably roll that with, oh God, I always forget the stat names. I mean, they're just emotions, right?
Their states.
Yeah. I'm a little trepidatious.
That's
and-
fear.
Yeah, okay, I will roll with fear. Okay, here we go. All I have to do is hit this link and then I will be there. Because I closed it just a minute ago. Okay. So I'm rolling 2d6 and I'm adding 2.
Yes.
So I rolled a 9, that gives me an 11.
So
Yes.
you will find out that there clearly been a number of people who have gone in as scavengers that have come back and been treated that are have to be detoxed. They have bites and puncture injuries, and they have a kind of a flesh dissolving toxin that has affected their injuries.
Right.
You rolled an 11, so you get some follow-up questions.
Excellent. So I think the first thing is what the heck is that toxin? Like, what can we do to negate it or never be affected by it? Like, do we have some sort of protection that we could have for it?
The trick is that this is not walking around and just like it's in the thing. The trick is that there are creatures in there that you need to avoid. There are apparently a set of large, semi-mobile, genetically engineered bivalves, apparently made as an attempt to like create a genetic thing to purify the water system there. But they are more aggressive and mobile than they had planned for. And apparently kind of getting too close to them, the cilia from them will go through clothing and stuff and get the toxins essentially that they have like in purified out will go into you. So you have to watch for them and avoid them.
Okay.
Yes, murder clams, yes.
So cyberpunk. Okay, and then do I have another question?
So
Or-
that was a follow-up question
Okay, good.
there. I think that seems fair. How big are these bivalves?
I think that from the thing of that there have been enough, like as you say, bites and stuff that clearly go between like maybe this big.
So small
like-
dog.
Yeah, like a Pomeranian, right? But but made out of 2 shells and very, very nasty. But it's got like the little teeth like Pomeranians do, a little crooked
Right.
and stuff, and then probably like a few that are like this big, that are like sort of, where the oldest shells of them are.
Okay,
Those ones you don't want to get your foot caught in
fair enough.
if you want to keep a foot.
Gabriel, what are you doing legwork wise?
I'm going to suggest something. If not, I have a second option here. But what I'm going to do is I have as one of my perks from the guild of influence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be trying to get in touch with someone I know in. I don't know if let's go with the police. We'll say with the police.
Okay.
I'm guessing there is actual like civic police to go along with court police.
This is a fact we're establishing right now. So we know that there is a civic police force of some kind.
Okay.
And because you have money and you're relatively pale skinned, you can get along with them.
I'm going to contact someone I know that's fairly high up in that area and kind of lean on him to, I would like for there to be a very visible police presence around that area the day we're going.
So this is interesting. This feels like Link.
Ooh.
That's
I
on
didn't look
the
at that
top
one.
of the other moves. Like you're introducing an NPC.
Because okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking of diverge, but okay, cool.
Like I think this is you. I mean, if you want to do it this way, if you can roll at that 10 plus level, you can, get them to. It's kind of what you do as executive. I know there's a move later on that you can take as an executive to be really good at Link. So
Okay.
does that feel like the right way to do it?
Sure.
Who is your police contact?
Captain Murphy.
Okay.
And
What do you want to roll this with to establish your relationship with Captain Murphy?
I think it's going to be power since it's coming off of my influence.
That sounds good.
All right. Rolling. That's a 10.
That is a 10. Captain Murphy is glad to hear from you. He thanks you for your donation to the officers' charitable gathering.
Absolutely. I'm always in support of our boys.
Absolutely. But you've called me. Is there something I can do for you?
Yes, I was wondering if perhaps you could spare a few patrol cars and patrolmen tomorrow evening to sort of make a very visible presence around, and I'll give him the area.
That's a heavy industrial zone. A lot of work things going on out there. Yeah, okay. I can tell people that there've been some metal strippers that've been able to get past the security bots that are in those camps and things like that. Get that there. Yeah, I can get you some officers visible out there tomorrow evening.
I appreciate that. Now, of course, I myself may want to look into that area. So do make it clear that perhaps I and a small entourage may be in the area.
Understood. I will get that set for you.
Much appreciated. I will remember this.
Yeah. Perfect. And then Null, you're gonna go into this weird fucked up, drained, swampy, mud-filled place and medical plaza. Is there anything you do legwork wise before you go in?
Yeah, so I just want to say that earlier I did roll my at the start of a session
Oh, yeah.
move. Yeah. So I rolled a 10,
Woohoo.
which means I add 2 ticks to my transform clock.
Yeah.
And I get a new gift and a new curse. So I did all those things. So the way that it looks is I think when we see Marley go ahead, right, to scout the area, Null was also like in the opposite end doing the same thing, like going ahead when going deep into the sewer sections, into drained out sections, when all of a sudden Null just sort of like doubles over, like places a hand on the wall, but as Null steps forward, the hand is still there. And like, so Null was split from like a mental projection that gets left behind. And this one is like wearing a suit and has this black rabbit mask. And the mask says, you know, you can't keep outrunning the corp like this. And so my new curse is I have a mental projection that has its own agenda, which is to strengthen the corp, basically, the corporations in general. And so there's a moment where Null has dreamt about this and Null doesn't know if it's real, if this is just something that's happening in their subconscious, is happening in the veil. And so Null just sort of like pushes themselves forward to keep going in. But as they do, they start raking their hands across the wall and it starts leaving these deep gouges. And so I've gotten a new gift of being extra strong, basically, as Null is trying to like hold themselves together in this reality. But yeah. And so I think what Null is trying to do, like they leave behind that voice that just keeps talking about the plans and what the corporation wants and how it's better if we like serve our masters again, yada, yada, all this like post-colonial bullshit, right? And I think what Null was trying to do and is trying desperately to do is to find someone who can help, like someone who has information. So I want to try the link move too.
Okay.
I can introduce an NPC basically.
Who is it you know who might have some insight on what's going on?
There's someone like me. They're also changing. There's someone who didn't. We don't know if they're part of the same project or of a similar project, but also I just want an excuse to have a crocodile person.
Okay.
Right, like that would be who lives in the sewer. I think that would be kind of cool.
Okay. So it's a little bit like Killer Croc, kind of.
Except cyberpunk,
Okay.
right? Like, you know, they've got like.
They've got the same sort of scale texture, but it's chrome and mirrored, and the eyes are a little bit sort of display, like there are lines that go across them. What's what gender?
Yeah, I think like trans mask also.
Okay.
Like
So what is his name?
Ooh, I think everybody just calls him Mr. Bite.
Mr. Bite.
Yeah. He's got these huge teethy chompers. I have to look for this picture later.
Perfect. What do you want to roll link with?
Let's see. I think honestly, I'm just like, every time I have to talk to one of us, right? It's always a sad experience, like knowing that I'm not the only one, knowing that there are many of us and many more that I don't know of yet.
Yeah.
Right. So it always feels a little sad. How cyberpunk is it if we're not sad sometimes, right?
Fair enough.
So yeah. Okay. So let's see. Rolling. I got an 8.
Got an 8. So go ahead and mark sad
Mhm.
for one. Mr. Bite has one obligation on you. And when you come to see him, he's like, are you here to repay me? Are you here to pay me back yet?
Well, I am grateful for how you helped me out last time, but I need another favor.
Ah, deep comes from the belly. What is it? What is it?
Well, we're getting close. We're getting closer to the truth. Now, I know how you feel about this.
You are chasing an illusion.
Mr. Bite, you and I both know that in this world, illusion is more real than reality. I'll take what I can get.
So what's the dream you're chasing this time?
I'm so close. I know that we can find information on Dr. Kawasaki here somewhere, but I need to know what else you can tell me. We're going to go in for a dive. This is our only chance, with the water being drained out like it is.
I know that there are already people fishing around. At least 2 corpses. But what I've heard is that one of them isn't there to retrieve or steal or clean. They're there to destroy it.
Completely. How unlike the corp to destroy something it could use later.
Exactly. If they're that worried.
Right. There's a reason why trash like you and I are still around, isn't it?
See, I do not subscribe to your self-deprecation. I am good enough and I am strong enough. You should think of yourself as that too.
All right. I'll download the meditation apps you recommended.
Absolutely. Just once a day.
Once a day. All right, Mr. Boyd.
And use my affiliate link.
Of course.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I'll be back, Mr. Bite, with what I owe. Don't worry.
If you're not, I can always find you.
And then I salute before I head back into the shadows.
Perfect. Let's take our first break here. We're going to take 10. We'll come back. We'll play on. We'll take another break if we need to later on, but let's take the 10 and we're going to kind of hard cut ourselves on the scene. Okay. So we take up with this area, and it has kind of got built up industrial sort of grade barriers and rocks and things like that. And we've got, again, cyberpunk sci-fi. So we've got giant, absurdly large earth-moving machines and things for pounding stone and rock into place and moving metal plates and things. And it's connected up to the systems of kind of dams and water containments that they've got. So the actual area, you're kind of up above it and kind of go down into almost like a dig pit in some ways, where these various buildings that are muck covered, we've got that same red mold and things, but just up at the tops where it's been dried out for a while and it started to blossom up there. And so it goes from that sort of red mold, crimson, and then to a kind of a brown down to these black and greens that are down here in this area, and into the muck and stuff. And I think your pickup person is at the margins, Gabriel, and I think Riddle, Heller, Marley, you will see that the cops are there, and they just wave Gabriel through. Just wave him through, like just a nod. And there is kind of a walkway down into this that they built, for some of the construction things. And so the four of you can make your way down into the area. Tell me something about this locale, Riddle. Like, what do we see now? We've got these buildings, this medical center, a few others around. Got the building that Marley has described. Maybe we see some of those bivalves moving, kind of flipping. They do that kind of mud skipper kind of flip over to move thing. They're kind of a thwack as they move along. What do we see, Riddle?
I think as we're approaching and like moving past the police line and starting to move down, there's like a zone of beautifying adware. Like there's projections and digital banners and stuff that are like trying to cover over or hide the fact that this is a derelict or sort of industrial area, and they're part of the police cordons, like nothing interesting here field. So there's this almost like zone of them that we go past and then we're behind them.
I think the other thing that you'll see is when you get inside in the Vale, there is this weird adware ecosystem, because the adware that's been stuck in the Vale in here is 5-6 years old, and the new adware is bleeding in and eating the old stuff. Like it takes it over, it consumes it. It like, this is a couple iterations in the sort of adware, viralware. So we see that going around with various blipverts trying to move and escape. What else do we see here, Marley? Like, what's this building that you found for them?
See, an industrial area. It was at one time a print shop, which is why it's completely derelict and has been for a long time, because nobody actually picks up printed materials anymore. Even the flyers are virtual. But like the last thing they printed was like political ad flyers, and there's still like a few scattered around.
Yeah, scattered,
soggy.
the papering in the muck, like clearly they got washed out. There are those great thick stacks, when stacks of paper get wet and they fuse together into a pylon of pulp that's there. Plus, it looks like they must have had a bunch of different inks stored in here, and those have burst open. So it's all different colors throughout the place that are baked into the flora and fauna there.
Yeah, it's weirdly kind of pretty, but also creepy as hell.
What else do we see as you are making your way along here, Heller?
I think one of the things is it's clear that this building was like set to be repurposed, kind of like the mall that I have my, where I'm staying. And essentially, what you see is the print shop is still there. They like didn't try to do that because all the counters and stuff were like way too like built old school, so it would be hard to take out. But it's all the back room and stuff that has been had some other buildings put inside of it. But the thing that's really striking is clearly they used the basement for that to run a lot of like power and cables and other things to these other buildings down the thing. It was like that basement was what they wanted when they bought that building.
Oh yeah.
Was that ability to move that thing here and have like a whole building around, the protection of all of those things.
Yeah. So lots of like there's a network of power cables down here that as the water is kind of drained away, you can see where things have attached to those cables or bored into them. And but most of them still fairly intact. But it does indicate where the sort of the power cabling, perhaps transit way from one place to the other is. Gabriel, what else do you see here?
Since it's been flooded, people have the weird habit of tossing things into water. And so they've kind of done a little bit of clearing the ground level so that they, the construction people get around. But at weird places hanging from buildings or where there are like, spires or the remains of where maybe there was a tree planted when it got flooded. There's like bicycles, clothes, children's shoes hanging out off of a power line in a weird way. There's old tech waterlogged, just sort of like caught halfway down between two buildings, stuff like that at weird angles.
Yeah, it's been used as an industrial pit. You can probably see there's a sheaf of old monitors, flat screens, just sort of stacked up. They didn't want to go to reclamation. They didn't have time. They wouldn't pay the fee on it, and they just dumped them here. No. After having that conversation with Mr. Byte, you headed back into the area, and this time you had to get by fucking police cordon that had popped up, which tells you that something is up, right?
100%.
And you kind of had to drop down another way, and you're making your way around, and you see a group. They're not trying to necessarily stealth their way. Some of them look more comfortable than others in this environment. But you see Heller and Riddle and Gabriel and Marley. You're familiar with all of them, some of them more than others. And they're not heading to the medical building, but they're heading to an adjacent building. What do you do?
Yeah, I look at let's see. My good friend Gabriel, who I'm drawn to despite my best efforts, knowing what Gabriel is. And I sort of like move forward and I go, like I'm trying to remind myself like how to talk again. When Mr. Byte and I were talking, it was like through this weird like subvocal kind of thing that we do among us. And so I'm trying to remind myself how to use vocal cords that don't exist anymore. I say,
what does it look like when you come out of your camo? What do they see?
Ooh. Yeah, I think it's like very slowly, like the camo is like it rewrites what's behind me and it refracts the light. So there's a moment when the poor suit is trying to rebuild what I am, except there's really nothing there except, for a moment. And then the armor comes back on. So it looks like this hollowed out face for a moment with too many teeth before it comes out again. And I say, Mr. Thrawn and everyone else, hello. It seems our paths have crossed. Perhaps I can be of assistance.
I definitely jump, and you might even see like a motion where my arm kind of moved strangely, and there was definitely some bulk up my coat sleeve. But no. What are you doing here?
Mr. Thrawn, I have found an important lead on my mission. I say as I look at everybody else. I don't hide like what I'm doing from the group, basically. And I've talked about it before. And I say, but it is no mere coincidence that we find ourselves here together at the same time. I must warn you that at least 2 corporations are involved in what is ahead, and one of them has plans to destroy something they'd rather other people don't see. Perhaps you will need protection.
That is very good. And I'm kind of looking around because I noticed that all 3 of these people seem to know my friend Null.
I think Riddle, is a little surprised at the appearance, but almost looks like more disturbed when he realizes who it is, not just that there's someone there. And he'll lean into Gabriel and say, Thrawn, this isn't part of what we prepared for. We've got the team we need. We don't really need any hangers on.
I see. Well, hello. Null, it is a surprise to see you here. We have a rather specific task.
And I would not interrupt it or weaken the group as it is. I say, and like my eyes glow a little bit and I nod. But should you have need of me, perhaps I can be of assistance, Mr. Thrawn. And I give you like my communicator code so that you can like reach out to me personally in case you need something. And I nod at the rest.
And I do think that Heller says, oh, come on.
Riddle shivers a little bit when Null nods at him.
Well, it doesn't seem quite right that we're all stumbling around here individually. No.
It's safer with us all together.
You say you were on a mission, no. I don't wish to interfere with that. As I say, we have very particular things we're doing. Do you think that I am concerned that your mission may stand in the way of what I need to do?
Oh, I assure you, Mr. Thrawn, there's no such thing as coincidence in this world. There must be something that joined our paths together. I will see it through, but let me assure you, I would make sure that nothing would impede you or your goals.
I think that, again, it's probably less obvious if we're all together. Riddle, I'm sure that things will be fine.
Fine, I'll have to adjust all of my programs and reset all the parameters, but it's fine, I guess.
I have ultimate faith in your capabilities, Mr. Blue.
Marley, how do you, we're going to establish that you know Null. How do you think you know Null?
So I think I'm kind of suspicious of them, which doesn't really indicate how I know them. Let's see. I think I've run into them. They're out there like kind of wandering around in the Vale all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think that when I realized something weird was up with Null, was when I tried that jamming, and like switched off the veil right around me, and Null disappeared.
Nice.
And I was like, wait, I thought they were real.
So Marley, you found this passage here. Are you kind of taking point? You're going to lead the group through?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. What is this tunnel like? How much of it is underwater? How is it? Can we stand abreast? Do we have to like crawl at certain points? What is it like?
I think like there was enough power run through here and enough cables and enough conduits that it was worth making it like, so that people could walk through this tunnel at one point.
Mhm.
You kind of have to bend and contort yourself around all these conduits, and also there's like chest deep, very muddy, stagnant water. It's not a pleasant walk, but it is a walk, not a swim.
I think that you're kind of leading this. You don't want to be too loud about this. You want to get through here carefully without any kind of injury. So I want to have you roll risk to kind of
Sure.
lead the team. Does that feel fair?
Sounds good. Yep.
Now, I'll remind you, you can always mark a cybernetic if you have something that's appropriate, fictional positioning to give yourself a +1 forward on a roll.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I mean, the point is we're trying to sneak in. And I have this like super amplified cyber ear implant. And so I'm like listening, far ahead of us to see if there's anything moving or talking on the other side.
Perfect. So roll risk. Take +1 forward if you're going to mark your ear.
Sure.
And what do you want to roll that with?
I think Null showing up has kind of thrown me a little bit off balance here. So I think it's fear.
Okay.
Which is also a 0, of course. And I failed that.
So you're kind of listening in, moving your way through here. One of the things is that as you approach this building, like there is a sound that's kind of low frequency and then sort of subsonic, this kind of grinding and weird like shifting sound that you're hearing that is starting to get into your like audio. Like you can't quite get the frequency like exactly right to filter it out. And I think you're able to make it through to the door at the other end, but you are significantly louder in doing this than perhaps you wanted to be.
And probably can't hear myself over it, so I don't know that.
Yeah. So the 5 of you are splashing through this tunnel, making your way along, and you get to this door that's this at the end that has clearly been underwater. And the thing that shocks you when you like just out of habit, try it, it's going to be corroded and stuff, is that when you go to like just give a tug on the door, the whole door comes off its hinges and the whole door comes out. And you can see that along the edges of the door and the door frame, they are clean with this sort of weird white foam that's along it. The door is not too, like, it's not like you get, knocked by it, but you have to kind of set it off to the side there into this darkened hall. Like, who's next? Who's behind Marley? I hate to say marching order in a PbtA game, but
Yeah, but I'm kind of gonna guess it's me just because I have like the breathing and all that other stuff in case
Sure.
we hit some deep water. I mean, like, where we have to swim through and
oh
I
yeah,
can scope and all that.
you have all been up to your waist in this.
It's kind of disgusting. I'm glad I don't have to swim through it, but I'm ready. I got all the gear. But the door, you said there's that white foam.
Yeah.
Is that like, I do a lot of scrapping and stuff. Is that something that was recently applied to make this thing open to cause this thing to move? Or was that like old foam and that this is just how it acts in the water?
I think that's a success.
Oh, okay. So I guess I'm just rolling. I am probably, this is like the kind of stuff I'm good at, right? So it's not like I'm afraid of it. I'm just like, I know how to do all this stuff. Been in scummy water before. Not as well dressed for it, but I've
Okay.
been in it. Okay, so I'm rolling 2d6, I'm adding 1. So that's 12 plus 1 is a 13.
You've got 2 hold.
Okay.
Do you want to, shall I answer the question that you had? And then
Yes,
you've still got 1
please.
more hold left.
Mhm.
This is a thing that that sophisticated, highly financed scrappers can use. It is a spray nano thing that you essentially like lob into a building or a site that you want to explore, and it will eat all of the corrosion and things that would make like locations stuck or things like that. It makes it so everything's easy to access, easy to egress. And somebody dropped one of those in here in the last 24 hours. You also know that the other problem with this thing, it makes it easy to move around, but it also lowers the general stability of the structure because it's not particularly discriminatory. It
Opening
eats,
all the things.
yeah, it's eating through gaps and things like that.
Okay.
You have 1 hold left to make a declaration
hold.
or ask a question.
Yeah, I think probably what I will do is I think the first thing I'll do is check to see if the doors come off. I assume that we're moving into that other building or whatever.
Yep.
And so the first thing I do is to check to see if one was dropped in this building and where we're heading and about when, because that would have been like the second drop. It'll give me a better sense
Oh
of
yeah. So
how
so
far
this
behind
is
we are
actually,
this
this is the
person.
medical center building.
Yeah,
You would guess
exactly.
it was dropped probably yesterday, which means that the other team is probably, they wouldn't have gone in then. They're probably either on site now or just arriving.
Okay. So I will relay that to the team. And yeah, and I go, okay, and they've got this whole place. So this building is like, it can go over. There's a big wave, a lot of wind. It can go over. And the medical center, it's been pushed like this too. It's not as far gone, but it will be shortly. So recognize that we may have to bug out at any point. Be careful.
Riddle. I mentioned before that the veil has sort of re-entered this area, like this node of it has been reactivated and connected up with here. So I think you are getting the low power overlays of the building and that kind of thing. So what are you doing?
So I think what I want to do is we had talked about those like the violent evolution of the adwares coming in contact with each other.
Mhm.
And I imagine like as the invading adware comes in, parts of it of the old adware they like overwrite, redo, but parts of it they just pick up and use. And so I think in that like mitochondrial coding in the adware is probably something they don't bother rewriting, is the like find a person and track them part of the adware. You know, go find something to go show your ad to. So I want to like grab some of those half-dead adware bits and find basically a program that's like, so it looks like you're trying to walk. Popular walking places are this room over here, that door over there. Like try and find the heavy traffic patterns and where people would have gone to when this place was open.
Okay. So more interested in like getting a read on what this place was like in the past, kind of thing. That sounds good.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Let's have you make a assess.
Okay. This would, I think this would definitely be power.
Okay.
This is my sort of thing, and grabbing the bits lying around and folding them into what I want. So I got a 9 on that.
So you want to know about the sort of the traffic pattern of the
Mhm.
building. So probably right now we're below ground. You can tell that the floors that are up above this are, you know, office space, storage, you know, rec area, meeting rooms, all that kind of very, you know, that's the sort of public space for the workers and things like that. This floor and the floor below are the containment levels. And you can feel sort of the stop and staging of it here and get a sense of, okay, we can move around here and then spiral down to the floor that's down below this. And yeah, this is definitely like some serious containment established here on these bottom 2 levels. Does that seem like fair info?
Yeah.
But
So on a 7 to 9, you can get 2 hold if you pay a cost.
yeah, do you want to pay a cost?
So I do. I want to basically I want to like toggle the option for press here for VIP access and try and find like where the premium users, where the VIP targets, like where they were heading, where the like important part zones are, sort of thing.
Do you have an idea for a cost, or shall I give you a cost?
I don't have a particular one. No.
Well, I think that certainly pinging that is going to alert all of the adware that there is a high value target in the area, and alert anyone that's kind of monitoring that. Does that seem fair?
That's amazing. I love the idea of like desperate, hungry ad bits coming flocking to me.
What does that look like? Like what do we see on screen when you reach and you use your architect skills to do this?
So I think in this one, they're just the like little fluttering fairy light bits of broken ad pieces coming by, and Riddle just stands there still for a moment, sort of head cocked to the side before he reaches out to the air and begins picking those little pieces and like molding them together into what becomes a neon arrow with like a face on it that does the Clippy style VI interaction.
It looks like you want to go to the heart of the lab.
Yes.
And it does this sort of thing, but then it's like you hear the sound like from the Batman movie of the bats coming, but it's adware as they kind of roar through the halls and begin to swarm in the atmosphere around Riddle. All of you are able to like get to the mute quickly, but there are these things that are floating around there, and it made, again, more noise than perhaps you wanted. Gabriel, as you move into this building, you've got this pointer going. What are you doing?
I'll remind everyone, this is a recon with a bit of finding if there's something here we need to take immediately. Retrieve. Information would be primary, but if we see something else that's of value, then we should probably grab hold. Important thing is, however, get in, get out safely. All right, this is the way to the lab facilities. I look over at you, Riddle.
Yeah, looks like administrator access is along this path and right around that corner.
All right then. Let's see if anything was hard enough that we can get juice and pull out some info. At least the adware is still here, though it seems to always be the most hardened. And I'm going to, I suppose, try to lift the veil to listen out to see if I can detect any systems that are still functional, that sort of thing.
So you kind
Computer
of so lift the veil kind of means you like using a device. Are you hacking into a system then, or
yeah, I think I'm using my interface.
Okay,
It's encrypting and intercepting.
then let's have you roll.
Should I mark it, or is
You
that
always-
just a fictional positioning, and by mark it I get a bonus or something?
Yeah, you can mark it before you roll to give yourself a +1 forward.
All right, let's go ahead and do that.
Okay.
I think that this is joy because I'm pretty excited. This is, a mission is always exciting. I've got people I believe in around me, so off we go. Oh, that's a 6.
That is a 6.
Exposing, but it feels like hell.
So I think we see you reach out and kind of do that, and you're standing by this sort of access way. The VIP thing is the next thing. The others are kind of positioned there. I'm going to say that Null is probably close by at that point. And there is this moment when you're there, and the door beside you is kicked open, and you see this figure in like black leather,
Oh shit.
and like this owl mask, kind of thing.
Woo!
And it like backhands you for 2 harm.
I think my armor absorbs it, but
Okay, so click your armor.
Yeah.
That will eat up that 2, but you are knocked back by this figure.
What the hell?
No, what do you do?
Oh, that thing hurt, Mr. Thrawn. I have to attack it. Right?
All right. So that feels like neutralize.
I like that impulse. Keep that.
Yes, keep that. What are you using to do this?
Yeah, I think what happens is like my arms start like lengthening and start turning claw-like, and like I think Riddle Blue recognizes like the veil is like conforming around me and like bleeding through, like as I reach forward and I start like screaming, but it's like it's just utter silence. I'm screaming in this like special language that only exists within the veil.
Okay.
Right.
So neutralize. You're going to do 1 harm because of your special ability now. Base. In addition, so that's an extra harm on top of the normal harm you do. What do you want to roll neutralize with?
Yeah, I'm afraid that people are going to get hurt, right? Like, not just Mr. Thrawn, but everybody else. So I'm trying to protect everyone from a place of fear.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see. Oh my gosh, it's taking forever to roll. It may have already rolled and I just can't see it.
Anything? There it is, 7.
Okay.
Okay. So on a 7 to 9, you're going to generate 2 hold from neutralize, but you're also going to take harm. So once you take a look at the neutralize, tell me what you want to pick for that. You're also doing 1 harm sort of base before we even get to those questions from your ability.
Ooh. I'm going to use the 2 hold to force a change of location.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm using all of my strength to push that person like back into the door that they came from, so that we're moving away from everyone else.
And I think the place is fragile. You're super strong. I think you can, like, you go back through a couple of walls, throw it back and it's on its butt. Heller.
Yes. Can I essentially, I owe 1 to Null. So can I step in and take that point of harm? Essentially, kind of take that blow for Null. So essentially the damage part of it. Does that make any sense?
Oh, interesting. That's a really interesting question. We don't necessarily have a mechanic for that. There's a playbook move for defend.
Like, yeah.
Oh,
is there?
Well,
there's
so
a playbook move.
there's a playbook move for defend.
Okay.
Let's have you do risk. That's act to avoid imminent danger.
Okay.
Let's say that the cost on the 7 to 9 of risk is you taking that harm. Otherwise, you're going to get Null out of the way.
Okay.
Does that seem fair?
Yeah, that
Okay.
seems fair.
Let's read it that way.
Okay.
And then we'll come around.
Okay, and I'm probably doing power because it's in my skill. You know, like essentially this is kind of what I'm built for. Not hugely, but I can take a little bit of damage.
Okay.
And I don't know what Null could take, and Null is important. So I rolled a 4, and +1 is 5. So I do fail on that. So
Okay.
I'm going to take some.
So I think both of you are going to take the harm from that. So both of you are going to take 2 harm. If you have armor, you can mark a box of armor to mitigate that 2 harm. But you will throw this person back. Does that seem fair?
Sure. It seems likely that would be what would happen if you messed
Thrown
it
back. There's a crashing sound. Null. See your claws out. This figure. The thing that was weird is, like, when you scratched, the texture of the body wasn't quite right. And you kind of look down and you have no blood on your claws. Let's come to Marley and then back to Riddle. Marley, what are you doing when you see that figure come out? Heller gets in the way. Null throws him back. What do you do?
So I mean that figure is like through several
Good.
walls.
Yeah, like a good 20-25 feet down this hallway, through a couple of now more fragile walls because of this foam thing, and it's, you know, on its ass right now.
Wonder if I can do anything. Does it look like it's getting up or?
Yeah, it is not down.
Okay. Wait, do I have? Oh, I don't. Sorry, I'm looking at my. I'm not sure where I'm looking. Here I am.
You do have a melee weapon?
Yeah, I
and
do.
some
I
other
have a
stuff.
switchblade.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go try to like basically try to hold my switchblade, to his throat and like, try to like hold it there.
That
Uh,
is ultimatum. If you
There we go. Perfect.
are you willing to deal damage if this thing does not go along with what you do?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the ultimatum move.
Okay.
When you make a demand and offer a threat that the demand, if that demand isn't met, you get to roll. What do you want to roll with?
Let's see, am I more mad or more scared here? Uh, I was not expecting this. Just immediate attack. So I think I haven't had time to get mad yet. I think I'm just scared. Which is also a 0. Yay. Oh, but that's a 9.
That is a 9. So I think this thing, like the legs whip around and flip backwards on this thing, as does the arms and the head, as the whole thing of it contorts. The like the veil on it like clearly has a hard time keeping up, and you can tell that it's something wearing a veil suit of some kind, and it roils itself up. It doesn't get particularly far away, but it pulls itself away from your blade. But it's like somebody took a Stretch Armstrong and kind of roiled it up and away from you.
Huh. That's very weird.
But I'd say it's gotten away from the immediate threat, but it hasn't gotten far. So it clearly recognized the danger of your weapon.
Okay.
Riddle,
Hello.
what do you do?
Well, there's like big, dangerous, loud, crashing things,
Yes.
but they seem to confidently have that taken care of.
No worries.
And I'm pretty sure Gabriel didn't mention anything about large, angry, violent, crashing things in my job description. So I'm following my adware to the most important administrative console, and then I'm going to lay my hand on it and try and use my derma-linked open interface to start interfacing with the system.
Okay. Kind of starting to make your way towards the downstairs here. Let's
Wherever pointy leads me to.
And right now, is your intent to gather information or just to get down there? Get access kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if it's, I want to avoid danger. So if I need to take an action to get there avoiding danger, I will do that.
Yeah, let's do risk, because I do think that you are moving in an environment that you're uncertain about. Both on the yeah.
I don't want to get involved in all that nonsense. Thank you.
Yeah, let's see if you can avoid that nonsense. We'll make that a move. Avoid nonsense.
Avoid nonsense. I think fear makes sense. Are we doing the thing where the opposite emotions balance each other out thing?
Absolutely. If you take a tick on fear, then power goes down by 1.
Interesting. Okay. So it's y'all. It's that. Okay, that's so. That's a 9.
That is a 9. So I think you can slide down into past these people down into this area. But I think you will realize when you kind of are making your way down to this next level past the admin access, there are more people down here.
Oh,
And you've kind of separated out from the group. Does that seem fair?
no, it seems wildly unfair, but
Okay.
it does seem correct.
Okay. Gabriel, Marley has threatened this weird thing, gotten the knife at it. Null has dealt some damage to it. What are you doing, Gabriel?
I am following Riddle because, again, I'm not here to hit the big things. That's not my job either.
Okay.
And so I kind of neutralize this as quickly as possible and quietly and follow down. I will accompany Mr. Blue to see if we can access the information.
So you're going to kind
of course, Mr. Thrawn.
Nice. So Thrawn, you're kind of heading down behind Riddle.
Yes.
You will get down here. Now, this lab's muck and such around in here. Some of that has been cleaned up, but again, anything that's supposed to be clear or translucent, like windows and things like that, kind of got that sort of half cleaned industrially and half grime. And you can see that through some of these discolored window things that there are figures, humanoid, that are moving around down here.
And I've gotten close to where Riddle had held up.
Oh yeah, I think actually you come up, because I think Riddle probably stops when he realizes that there are people down here.
Oh, yes.
It appears that someone has beaten us to the punch. If they're not paying attention to the noise that they've been making upstairs, I don't think they're hearing whispers.
Well, okay, fine, whatever.
We may need to wait for support. Unless you think you could access something quickly and quietly.
I think Riddle is looking nervously at the shaking and sometimes flaking ceiling and walls in here as the ongoing conflict. He says, we may not have much time to wait.
Let me come back to Null. Null, what are you doing? You're up there. You've been given your orders. This person is splayed out. Marley is still shocking switchblade at hand. Hellerton is at the ready. What do you want to do, Null?
Yeah, and when Marley tried to like use an ultimatum, right? It just sort of like moved out of the way.
Yeah,
but
it didn't escape, and it wasn't able to deal a threat back. So it's kind of caught in place and revealed a little bit about itself in doing so.
Ooh. Yeah, I think because what I want to do I suspect that it's like me, or is it something else? Is what I think is like going on in my head right now.
There's way too much flesh here for it to be you.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I think I'm really going to try to continue to neutralize it.
Okay.
Because I'm following Mr. Thrawn's orders to the letter. Right.
Let's have you roll neutralize, I think, with advantage from the setup that Marley has given you.
Okay. So I will roll with 3d6, but we're gonna ignore the total just so
And
that.
and which one do you want to roll with? Is this fearful? Is this
Yeah.
power? Are you happy, excited to be doing this?
Ooh, I think I'm actually sad. I think I'm looking at this thing and going like, I can sense when something is being used,
Mhm.
right? Like, and I see myself in it. I suspect that I was used to once, right? And so I'm gonna roll with that. I'm ignoring the whole thing. What is it? 3d6. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
10. So what do you want to do? Do you want to take this thing out?
Ooh. I don't know I don't know how you feel about this, but I want to force it into the veil, right? Into that same empty, null, void space that I come from.
Absolutely. Here's
So
what
it's-
happens when you do that. Is you kind of slam it into the veil. There is this hit and this separating, and you'll see the like veil image of the suit and the owl will fall away and kind of falls into the veil, like, and vanishes, and you see this pale body. It has no genitals. It has no eyes because the fish have eaten out the eyes and stuff. And you can see the mark that this is something made of organic material that has been underwater for a while. You can see places where things have been eaten out, but you can also tell it has no bones. It's undifferentiated organic material with nerve things running through it. And once that veil thing is knocked out of it, it stops moving. And it takes a second, but it will crash to the ground.
Yeah, when that happens, I don't turn back, but I say, Marley, I think this thing is no longer a threat, but perhaps you may want to safely investigate. I'll be here by your side in case anything happens.
Harley, Heller, what do you
Do we
choose?
see that whole like body flesh thing?
Yeah.
That we see it?
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what was my question too.
yeah.
Okay.
There's a bit where you can see that the veil is trying to now like recalibrate where it would lay like a generic template because it's a human form and it shouldn't be naked. But it can't calculate because it's also registering as a corpse. So it's clearly trying to figure out what visual suit to put on this thing.
And I think that's the thing is it's like, I just say body bag, just to give it the clue. But the thing that I'm going to do is I have my multi-tool and I'm going to scan this to see like, what was it housing or how was it housing some sort of sentience? And was the sentience like an artificial one? Is this like an imprisonment? I don't know what it is. Does that make any
Sure.
sense? Yeah.
Let's
So
that feels like analyze, right?
yeah,
Assess?
it
Yeah.
does, doesn't it?
And you've got advantage with that, or +1, which with your character, right?
It depends. So jugglers, crones-
+1 hold when you assess a machine or system.
yeah. So, and then I'm probably doing this like, this is pretty, maybe fear, just because I'm not sure what it is. And I'm trying to, I got to figure it out before, because it's all kinds of wrong. Okay, so all I got to do is find the roll.
So
I'm
here,
rolling
before you roll, you're
Yeah.
rolling 2d6 +2.
Okay, +3.
No, +2, and you're getting an extra hold from
Oh,
the thing.
okay.
If you want to give yourself another +1 forward, you could mark your arm multi-tool.
I'll do that.
Okay.
So that would be a +3.
+3. There's almost no chance you could fail at that
Oh,
point.
I could fail, but I don't. I get a 10. So, and an extra hold.
So you get 3 hold then.
Now all I gotta do is go look at this move and read it. Yikes. All right. Analyze.
This is the intelligent. This is the study move from Hearts of Woodland.
Study move. So it means any questions I want?
Or declarations.
Okay. I think the thing that I see is like pieces and parts that I recognize when I do the scan. One of it is it's a hold, like it's not like it's enough kind of metal physical space to hold a pretty hefty AI. And to give it like some semblance of control over the nerve endings and stuff like that, so it could be sensitive and stuff. But the other thing is that the corpse that is made is so clearly like a horrible thing that it seems, everything about it seems like it's more like a prison.
Yeah.
Like a lab animal, but also a prison for something.
It's definitely bioengineered. The nerves, the systems that set up in the skull casing of this thing are rich and sophisticated. And like it might be an AI, but there's something weird about whatever that thing was
Okay.
that came through. So let's kind of establish that as the
Okay.
1 hold.
All right.
That leaves you 2 hold, and then I'm going to come to Marley.
Okay. And then I will say that the thing that's striking about it is I don't know. I would say that the way that it's made means we can definitely figure out who made it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's unique enough that given time and given the resources, you should be able to find a signature for this.
Okay, and then I will declare that I'm able to actually take that set of things. Like I have a particle scalpel and a thing, and I'll go, we're gonna need this for evidence. And I say, but it's, body bags over it.
What you're telling me is you get a body bag and you dismember the corpse.
Yes.
And carefully pack it up and vacuum seal it.
Exactly.
I just want to hear you say, I dismember the corpse.
I'm a dismember the corpse. I open up its skull bit. I get a good sampling of the spine and
Marley, during this process, this delightful process.
I'm very fast. You're strikingly fast at it. So.
Yeah. Probably nervous making fast.
Yeah.
Not Hellerton's first rodeo.
Yeah, I'm in spite of my habit of making things decay, I think I'm a little creeped out by this. But I'm still going to stay there like to sort of guard while Heller does this and keep looking away going, you have to do it that way.
I don't know what it is Thrawn wants to know. I don't know what it is that I need to know.
Marley, as you're there, kind of do that, you and Null and Heller, I think you will hear now. Your ears is kind of adjusted to the crunch of the decay, the breakdown thing. You will hear a boom up above and feel the building above you shake.
Oh, that's not good. I think, like, I hope you're done with that. We need to get out of here.
Oh, yes, we do. I am in complete agreement.
I'll get the others and just go ahead. I'll catch up.
So you get that settled, and you're moving down to follow up behind on Gabriel and Riddle. Let's cut down
I gotta
to
warn them in case they don't know.
Gabriel Riddle. You're down here. Do you want to try and see if you can activate and strip out the info? Do you want to see who those figures are? Do you want to get the hell out of here? What do you think?
I'm pushing for you to strip some info to get hooked in, and I'll cover you. We'll have the others showing up soon.
You want to distract the people?
I was thinking of quietly standing here and shooting any that come over, but
Well, I mean, I'm going to need to work my way to an access point.
don't like the distraction. How about we just try to quietly get to there without attracting any attention? Distraction means getting shot at.
Well, not if you're doing it right, but sure, yeah.
So, Gabriel, you want to try and kind of lead across, staying low, get over this access point without getting spotted by.
That's the hope, yeah.
Okay, then let's have you roll risk.
All right. Let's see here. I still think I'm probably feeling excited.
Absolutely, keep marking that.
Yep. There's joy. I think I've had a power roll that I had it marked somewhere along the way. All right. So rolling with joy. And that's +1. And I got an 11.
Got 11. I think that you are easily able to maneuver over, kind of follow along the line. Have to go a little low, but you're ready for this. You're more active and athletic than perhaps you let on, and bring a riddle along. It brings you over to one of these access points. I think, but when you get over to the access point and riddle, you're kind of getting ready to do that. I think you'll hear, like, from that area where those people are moving around, you'll hear like a thud, and then maybe a second thud of the body hitting the floor. I haven't heard any gunfire or anything like that. What are you doing, Riddle?
So once we find the point, Riddle is reaching his hands out towards it, and that, like, you sort of see under the veil illusion, that, like, black suit that he's wearing, it goes almost clear thin at the palms as he touches this computer system, and his interface is, like I talked about before, that, like, open network between him and his cyber brain and this system here, as he incorporates it all into one to open it up.
Okay. So I think this definitely feels a little bit like we're using your like you're trying to reconfigure to get the data to you in a form that you can like snatch out of here. Does that feel right?
Yeah, I think under the time limit, he's not, like, analyzing or understanding it or extracting carefully. He's just trying to, like, take out large chunks of the system and put it in himself.
Sure. Let's have you roll. What do you want to roll that with?
I think it's still fear. I want it to be power, but I think we're in fear, especially with those, like, thumps, and I can't see those people anymore.
I know you're just hearing sounds and smells and all of those things.
But I am going to mark my network nerve endings.
Sure.
That's a +1 to it.
Yep.
So that do a thing. That's a 13.
That is a 13. So you get to pick 3 options and gain an imagination.
Nice. So my subconscious stays repressed and friendly for the moment. I do not suffer feedback from this way out of date computer system.
Mm-hmm.
And for, at least for the moment, no one notices the change.
Okay. I think that you will realize that there's someone else that's been pulling out chunks of information from here. And I think in your visual, you're going to grab like the system information, things like that. And then visually you see another like block of data, kind of this like claw kind of grabs and lifts it up, and it goes, flying off into the veil, and you'll hear another as another body hits the floor.
And so I think what Riddle does there is, because part of the reconfigure is describing what changes and what you remove to balance it out. So as he takes out that chunk, I think he's actually going to store it in the like skeletal architecture of that adware arrow, and he's going to take all of the VI and the like searching want of that clippy adware arrow and put it back in that spot, so that the next time the claw comes down, it picks up the red cube of Clippy the arrow.
Okay. Let's okay. Heller, Null, you're up top. You hear that sound of the explosion. And I think that the two of you will hear like people moving above you, like a floor or two above you, kind of coming down.
All right, and I assume we have some sort of comms, and I'm going to say, hey,
Yep.
There's people coming down, and I think the building's about to come down. So we're counting down here, people, like 20, 25 seconds, and then we need to get moving back.
What are you doing? Are you moving up to get to ground level? Are you falling back through the tunnel? What do you want to do?
Ooh, that's a good question. The tunnel's good in the well, no, it's not that great, but it is a separate building. So once we get past this structure, we still have a decent thing, but it suggests someone else new. Oh, yeah, I think we'll back up, and then we may actually go back through, but
Okay.
may actually deviate out once we get in there, since we know that we can breach it.
Okay. So falling back to the tunnel area. Null, are you following along with Heller? Or do you want to rush down to where Gabriel is, or do you want to explore on your own a little? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna I turn to Heller and I'll say I'll ensure that the other two reach to safety.
And I think Ella will turn back and go, you're important too, Null.
And I think there's a moment where like Null like cocks their head and thinks about it and says, yes, I am important and I am whole. Like Null starts repeating what Mr. Bright says and says, I assure you, I understand completely.
And yeah, you see, I think
And
you,
like,
you just get like, Heller narrows his eyes that when you after you say those lines, like that sounds really familiar. Like you're quoting movie lines, but he doesn't know what movie. So yeah, I think he'll like, let's go.
Right. And to
saying
make
that in
sure
the headset.
nice. And to ensure I get there as quickly as possible, I move through the remnant dreams of the veil to get to Riddle Blue and Gabriel as like quickly as I can.
Okay. I think that's not a problem for you. Marley, have you also descended to yank them out of there?
Yeah. But like once I get down there and I see what's going on, and they are clearly in the middle of something, Null is there to warn them.
Do you
I
want
think
take
I
a look at
want to
these
see what's
people?
going on with these people. Yeah.
You will move over, kind of push some things aside, and you will see that there is a room, and there are 4 of those beings. We're going to call them flesh bots for the moment, whatever, because it's about as horrible as I could make the word there, that are laid out. And there are another 3 that are there with masks and clothing and things like that. And you have seen people in VR, like when they're in the VR suits and things, like how they move and how they're kind of reacting differently to things.
Uh-huh.
And that's what you see these other three people kind of doing, is they're moving like they're playing a game or reading a book or kind of talking to somebody, but not actually talking.
Cool. That means they're probably not aware of me.
Not yet.
Um, they're not the same. They're not the same as the people, the flesh bots, right? Or are they?
Well, they have that same mask and
Okay.
suit thing that the first one that you encountered did.
Okay. I was like, are there 4 of them and 3 of other? Okay, cool. So what are they actually doing? That's
Do you want to engage with them? Kind of move into the frame?
yeah.
Like you kind of step forward, and the first one who's kind of talking, like he's like doing this thing, kind of stops and says, "Well, you're new."
What do you mean? I've been here for a long time.
I haven't seen you. I've been here at the party for quite a while. And when did you arrive?
It's a party.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, can't you see it?
No, I don't have one of those masks.
He says, "Oh, no. Let me open myself to you." And you see him reach down to his chest and kind of starts to put his fingers in there. And he starts opening up. And you'll feel the veil around you start to shift and twist. What do you do?
I'm curious enough to wait and see what happens.
All right. And he tears, and you're no longer in the building. You're in sort of a neo-Gothic Victorian ball. What do you look like?
What do I look like? And what has this made me look like? I don't
Is it a suit? Is it a dress? Is it some sort of hybrid of that? What's your, like, it's clearly done something to fit you into this.
yeah, so in real life I have absolutely no idea what that would
Yeah.
look like. But it is a very like appropriate, but not like just appropriate suit that like it is. It is clearly designed me to be in the background or be like, set dressing for
Yeah.
them.
The thing that strikes you is it has completely torn you away from the veil that you know, and it has pulled you into a different veil.
That's
and you can't actually even see the real world right now.
all right. I kind of look at it and I say, well, all right, let me show you what I see. And I want to use my jamming interface to turn the veil off.
Okay. That feels like risk to me.
Yeah. Who knows how it's going to react?
And then we'll come to Gabriel and Riddle.
Let's see, what am I rolling with here? God, I think I get a sense that okay, these people have been here thinking that they're at this party for who knows how long. I think I'm sad about this. Like,
sure,
this is creepy. It's also fascinating, but it's also sad. That's a 7.
That is a 7. I think you will push your way out, and you see that figure that was there, but it no longer has a veil on it. It's one of those flesh bots, and it crashes to the ground.
Oops.
And kind of like, where did it go? And I think there's for a second that we see a flicker of it standing behind your shoulder. You can't quite see it, but that figure with the mask and the suit is kind of there for a second, then blinks out.
Okay.
Does that feel like an okay cost?
Yeah.
Okay. Gabriel, hearing the bodies hit the floor. They're telling you the building's coming down.
Hit the floor.
Riddle's getting the information. What do you want to do? Do you want to bug out now? Null, let me ask you this. Have you ever seen Null move like this before?
I don't think I have.
Yeah. What does it look like to him, Null?
Because this is your special, just sort of like,
Yeah, moving through the dreams. I think what happens is when I come out of a dream, I'm wearing someone else's dream for a moment. And so in this moment, I look like, oh my gosh, for some reason, I have to say Pamela Anderson from Baywatch, right? Like, it's just really bizarre. Like, complete with the 90s TV scan filter situation, right? But then there's a moment where the face turns into like the armor and the mask, and the eyes turn into these narrow slits, and then the dream violently like tears off of me, right? And like, but you can hear echoes of that opening song, like out here. I love that song. Anyway, and so
I think then as you pop in and as I see this Pamela Anderson, and then the process begins, I think I definitely whip down my arm, and we see this massive gun. It's kind of like a sawed-off shotgun, except it has a big bell thing at the end. And as it drops down, there's a bit of like dangerous looking glow that sort of goes down the barrel and just kind of sits there at the end. And as you drop, oh no. And it sort of you startled me.
I apologize, Mr. Thrawn, but the threat has been neutralized, and we do need to move you out of here as quickly as possible. We are running out of time.
Mr. Blue, how are things progressing?
I have what was left. Someone else has been picking through the system.
Well, that will have to do. You've gotten it all?
Everything that was there.
Then we should leave. And maybe that's what I noticed, that Marley's over
Yeah,
there.
I think as you move out, probably see Marley kind of moving back over and can catch sight of them.
We do have some communication we've sort of established. I'm guessing it's fairly quiet, like it doesn't broadcast out people to hear easily. Otherwise, it's a terrible
vocal comms within the local area.
Yeah, otherwise it's terrible for the sort of job. Marley, it's time to fall back. Are you all right?
Yeah, something's very weird. Are any of these flesh bots still up and moving around? That
there are two of them that are still up and moving around.
Okay. I would like to get them out of here before whoever's coming comes. So I look for a place with some of this foam. That I assume there's some in this room, right?
Okay.
And it's attracted to corrosion, right? You know what I'm really good at? Creating corrosion.
Okay.
I just want to make a big hole in the wall. Like, we're not going to the tunnel. We're just going straight out through the wall.
Okay. Do you have any essence?
I do.
Tell you what, if you spend that essence, I think you can narrate for me what that looks like you kind of punching through this already perforated subset system.
Yeah, I think I find like just the area with the most foam where it's clearly been, eating away at it for a while. That is close to these flesh bots, because I do want to try to herd them out too. And mostly just like, in fact, I just like dig my hands into the foam and put my hands on the metal under it. And you see this rust like start to come out, and then you see the foam like foam up, like if you pour the hydrogen peroxide on something.
Yeah.
I think that's what it looks a lot like. It turns very liquidy and very foamy, and eats away at the rust that's eating away at the metal.
So I'm going to kind of hard frame the four of you. Get information got, gun out, Null kind of falling behind Marley. Null can push aside whatever can't be rusted through. Imagine that the group of you meet up with the connector, come through to where Heller is at. You can hear the building kind of coming down behind you. And I think you'll kind of come out of these buildings. And when you kind of come outside, as soon as these flesh bots kind of been following along like a little bit VR days, as soon as they come outside, you see they both go, "Oh yeah," and they slide off into the veil, and
Cool.
And these bodies just go poof.
Bodies go poof. Okay.
And the building behind collapses.
Awesome. I was going to collapse it if it didn't collapse. So
I call our pickup and look at Heller Adult. Would you be so kind as to collect these two? And pointing at the
Sure.
box.
Yep, and I'll get the two parts. I will, like I said, I'm very tidy at this, and I will, of course, do the scan. So in case there's any differences, I don't cut up the gear.
Okay.
And Lowell,
Yeah.
These things, are they living or non-living at this point?
These bodies, like, they don't have an animating force at this point. It is literally like somebody turned off the battery on a robot.
I'm trying to activate a move that only activates on non-living things. Does it work?
Well, tell me what the move is.
Before Heller comes over and murder bots another one of these horrible things, I want to just slip it into the veil hole.
I think you can slip one of these into the veil.
So yeah, Riddle goes over and kneels down next to one of the corpse bots and just like reaches his hands out and grabs it at knee and shoulder, and it just easily folds in half, and then he folds it in half again, and he keeps folding it in half until he has a little like action figure sized neon glowing corpse bot toy, and it just digitizes away into the veil.
As you do that, and Heller, you move over to begin carving it. I would really like one of these whole. I see. Well, I'll take.
Well, if you tell Heller to
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Could we maintain one in condition? I will be more than happy to share whatever we find out.
I can bring that one back later.
Okay. Oh, excellent.
probably.
100%.
Very good. Very good. Let's go.
I will pack the one in the body bag and haul it behind me.
And body bags, bodies load up into this craft, and you will exit the building. And that is where we are going to stop for today.
Ooh, good mission.
Well
Well done, team.
Yeah. Let's start next session talking about motive. Sorry, or rather, what do we call it? The drive and the question and entanglements. And we'll kind of work through that with everybody. We'll go ahead and give you 3 straight for today, just because we're kind of play testing. That should allow everybody to get another move. And we'll start with that conversation about those things, and get those set at the start of next session. Does that sound cool?
It's 5 for a level.
It is 5 for a level.
Oh, cool.
I would like to do a quick stars and wishes, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. If you don't, well, I don't think I'm going to be started with. I will hear you, but I'm going to run to the restroom real quick.
Well, let's take a quick 3-minute break, and then stars and wishes. Yeah, give us a quick bio, and then we'll come back. Safe side. Yeah.
Stars. I did super dig how weird and a little bit confusing and a little bit gross the veil was tonight, especially the carnivorous hyper evolution micro ecocosm of these adware versions going at each other. It was just fascinating. It's why I kept playing with it. The idea of it was so cool. But also these weird corpse bots and their disconnecting personality drone bits, and I don't know what the hell was going on, but it was amazingly cool. And Ray, you bringing in the changing that's also playing in that weirdness of the veil versus reality. Is the digital escape real? Is it not real? Are you real? What are you? How do you move and be and do? And it's all the things I want to get confused by and play around with in the veil. Let's see. Wishes. This was very do the mission and introduction part 2 sort of thing, which is cool. It is where it was, but I would like some downtime to get to know each other, to complicate things, to have social fallout rather than action fallout.
Yeah, we'll definitely dig into that side, the day-to-day life stuff and dealing with your potentials and that kind of thing next time. Marley?
I think that actually was pretty much what I was going to say for wishes. Chance to explore the weird playbook moves and see what's work with the potentials and see what we do just on a day-to-day life thing that isn't part of a mission. So like I said, that was just covered. And also stars for Heller. You just went all in. I am going to embrace being as gross and weird as possible, and I'm good at it. It's yes, perfect.
That's right. I have a particle scalpel. Of course I'm good at it.
Awesome. Heller.
I just have to go right back at you, Marley, because your rush to immediately get through a wall was spectacular use of your powers. In fact, all of you were brilliant at one time or another. So Null, you just came in and you were able to take care of everything and protect everyone just like you promised. Me, my dice would never allow such a thing. So I was super impressed. And Riddle, you were wonky and cool and weird. And I had no sense, Heller had no sense of what you were doing most of the time. So I think it's just about right. And Tyler, you were an awesome boss. And I particularly liked your convo with the Captain Murphy. Which I like to think of as actually like a rank for the civilian police. It's not actually his name, it's a rank. And yeah, but anyway, So I really love the world we're building. You did a pretty good job too, Lowell. I'll give you
Thank
a
you.
couple points. Yeah.
Okay.
I really love the world. It's complicated. It has weird consistency in places you wouldn't expect that I just adore as it stretches itself over the weird frame that we're inadvertently creating underneath it. So it is a wild trip. Join us.
Awesome. Null.
Yeah, so really big stars to everybody. I had a really super fun time jumping in. I think my biggest star is to like those lovely flesh robot things, just absolutely sublime. Very good stuff. I like when Lowell was like, they don't have any bones. I was like, oh, this is so good. So really, really good stuff. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to like jumping in and feeling out everybody. I really like how both Null and Riddle Blue are like intimately connected to the Veil, but in very different ways and have very different perspectives on it. So I'd really like to like delve into that, but I'm really just looking forward to stuff. I did notice like playtest wise, there is a thing where, let me see. It says I'm only allowed the number of gifts as my transform stat. And I start with 0 plus, I mean, transform stat +1, but I start with like 2 gifts. And then I made that roll where I got another gift. So like I'm already at 3 versus my transform, which is still at 0. So like just something to look at.
That's a good point. Thank you.
Yeah. But aside from that, I really had a super, super good time. And I'm excited to ask these very deep cyberpunky questions and reach out. So I can't wait for that next time.
Nice. And Gabriel.
Big stars for the adventure itself. It was creepy. It was interesting. I again will give a big star to the Fleshbot. It's a cool concept. I can see the potential for profit that comes from that sort of thing. I thought it was really super cool. I also liked that this was a really solid mission. It was do a thing. We had obstacles. We went to do it. I started you, Patrick, of being, motivated to, I'm not going to be in this fight. I have things that I do that are different. I think that's important. I thought that was a great decision and very much showed the character. I followed along with that because again, we got a mission. It was fantastic to see Null come in and having the connections, paying them off in a really neat way. We saw that with Pat, how Riddle and you interacted and Riddle's reaction to it. We saw it with you and Heller. There was just really neat things that you went ahead and laid out there and were open for everybody to react to you coming in. I thought it was brilliant. Marley is an amazingly interesting character. I want to know more about the character. So Bethany, it's, if it's a TV show, you've like got me hooked. I want to know this character. And that's so cool. That's so interesting. And Sherry, digging into guts. I don't see you do that often. There were several. I liked your setup stuff. Everybody did good setup stuff, but I really enjoyed how how you interacted with that and the finding out of these buildings being so shaky and all of these sort of things that were going on with that was fantastic. I enjoyed it. I also kind of liked the team dynamic. I thought there was something cool in how we worked together. So that's nice. I enjoyed that. Wishes. I also want to see people's personal lives. I think that'll be, we're playing a fairly long run, so we should establish a little of what that looks like. And I kind of want to delve into what it means to come back from successful, we'll say somewhat successful mission with the guilds. I think that Gabriel has the view of you go in and do exactly what you have to do. You don't try to do too much because dead heroes don't get promotions. So, you know, I want to see how they feel about what we did and maybe even learn a little of what we extracted.
Okay. That sounds good. So like I'm going to give myself a star. I rarely do this, but I am very proud of the genetically engineered toxic bivalve cleaner things that I came up with today. That for me is a high point. So I love that. Thank you all very much. I am going to stop the recording